let's talk a little bit about mutations. So mutations are just a change in the genetic code, exchanging one base for another base in the DNA. Most of the time, they're neutral because they still encode the same amino acid, which gets added to the protein, so overall it's the same protein made, no harm, no foul. And in other cases, they can be beneficial, where they do encode a different protein because they make a different amino acid, but that protein actually helps the survival of the individual that it's mutated in, and overall will lead to evolution. However, they can also be deleterious or toxic, and the most well-known one is a toxic loss of function. That happens when a mutation encodes for a different amino acid and thus makes a different protein, and it has a negative effect on the individual that it is mutated in. Most of the time, this is because it disrupts the structure of the protein by encoding a different amino acid, and when you mess with the structure, you also mess with the function because structure is very, very important. These loss of function mutations are basically, as they're stated, the protein loses its function, and most of the time that function is very important because your proteins are very important. By losing the structure and therefore the function of the protein, then you are losing the services, I guess, that that protein provides. Basically, the mutation causes the protein to stop functioning. Some examples of this are found in some cases of hypothyroidism and muscular dystrophy, where for the case of the muscular dystrophy, there is a loss of function mutation in the LARGE or large gene protein that causes some issues that are related to muscular dystrophy. Now, on the other end, and much less well understood, is the toxic gain of function mutation. This is where a mutation, instead of disrupting and pretty much stopping the function of a protein, it causes it to do either a completely different function or way more enhancement of the same function. Now, while enhancing the function of a protein may not necessarily seem like a bad thing, too much of anything is not good, so if these proteins are over-functioning, that can also cause many problems. So gain of function can either be the protein doing its normal functions but too much, or the protein changing functions like completely and doing a totally different thing instead of in loss of functions where it just stops functioning. Now, an example of a toxic gain of function mutation is one such as in Huntington's disease. The gain of function mutation in Huntington's results in many CAG repeats. Those are the bases in the DNA. Normally you have a certain number of those CAG repeats, but in Huntington disease, you have an expanded number, so you have way more CAG repeats than you should, which causes many problems, and that is due to a gain of function protein mutation. So both of these are very fascinating, and gain of function mutations do need a lot more research, but they are very cool, and they are involved in quite a few different diseases, same as with loss of function mutations.